What's up, everyone? Alex here, and oh my God, do I have a story for you today? Before we even get into this, I need you to buckle up because this Reddit post is simultaneously the funniest and the most terrifying thing I've read this week. Like, imagine waking up to a blackmail email, but the affair they're threatening to expose is literally with your own wife. I can't even... Okay, let me compose myself. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we dive deep into the wildest, most unhinged stories Reddit has to offer. And today we're reading, I am being blackmailed for cheating on my wife. But spoiler alert, the twist is insane. All right, let's get into it. Before we jump into the story, let me break down who's who here because this one's a little unique. OP, original poster, male, 33. This is our guy, the one being blackmailed, the author of the story. Wife, female, 33, OP's wife. They own a business together. Goes by her middle name and maiden name at work. Let's call her Mary Fish professionally, but uses her married legal name in personal life. Let's call her Jane Doe. The blackmailer. Unknown. Some absolute genius, criminal mastermind who clearly did not do their homework. Got it? Cool. Now let's read what OP posted. All right, here's the original post, word for word. Hi all, I need to get this out somewhere. A bit of background. So my wife is incredible, amazing, brilliant, and the love of my life. We, both 33, own a company together that does financial stuff, keeping it vague, and it's been very successful. We aren't publicly in a relationship, we don't talk about our marriage, or have public social media where it discloses our relationship. All this is to say, to the public eye, my wife and I are business partners, unmarried, and with our own separate marriages. My wife goes by her middle name and maiden name for work, and by her legal name when dealing in personal matters. Say her name is Jane Mary Doe, knee fish. She goes by Jane Doe when not at work and Mary Fish at work. Now, full disclosure, I did not cheat on my wife. We were at a work function and kissed briefly when arriving in car, and apparently someone saw it. I woke up this morning to an email addressed to me saying that if I don't want my wife, Jane Doe, finding out I'm cheating on her with my business partner, Mary Fish, then I am to pay them off with an amount I won't be listing here, but is quite a sum. They included photos of me and Mary together and then, and this is the best part, sent a link to Jane's Facebook page where she notoriously doesn't post her own face anywhere. Maybe the title should have been, I am being blackmailed for cheating on my wife with my wife. I'm both amused and horrified. Thanks for listening, Reddit. My wife hasn't stopped laughing to commiserate with me yet, and I needed an ear. Needed to get this out. Okay. Where do I even begin with this absolute comedy gold meets crime thriller? Let's break this down section by section because there is so much to unpack here. First off, let's talk about OP and his wife's business arrangement. They run a successful financial company together, and they've made the deliberate choice to keep their marriage completely private. To the outside world, they're just business partners. Now, I want to pause here because some of you might be thinking, why would they do that? What's the point? And honestly, this is actually pretty smart. But here's the thing. It also created the perfect conditions for this hilariously incompetent blackmail attempt. Let's talk about our blackmailer for a second. This person saw OP and Mary Fish, his wife using her work name, kiss in a car. They took photos. They did some light internet stalking and found OP's wife's Facebook page under her legal married name, Jane Doe, where she doesn't post her face. And then they put 2 and 2 together and got 5. They thought they had stumbled upon a juicy affair. Business partners sneaking around, a married man cheating with his colleague. This was their big payday. So they draft up this blackmail email. Pay up or I'll tell your wife, Jane Doe, that you're hooking up with your business partner, Mary Fish. They even included photos as evidence. And here's where it gets absolutely golden. They sent this email to OP threatening to expose him to his wife, who is the same person as his so-called mistress. I mean, come on. This is like a sitcom plot. This is Three's Company levels of misunderstanding. But here's what's not funny. This is still a crime. This person attempted extortion. They demanded money under threat of exposure. The fact that they're catastrophically wrong about the details doesn't change the fact that they committed a felony. OP says he's both amused and horrified, and I think that perfectly captures the emotional whiplash of this situation. On one hand, this is objectively hilarious. His wife is laughing so hard she can't even comfort him yet. Imagine being in that marriage. Imagine sitting at the breakfast table reading this email together and just losing it. Honey, someone thinks you're cheating on me. With me. But on the other hand, this is genuinely scary. Someone is watching them. Someone took photos of them in what they thought was a private moment. Someone did enough research to find OP's contact info and his wife's Facebook. Someone felt entitled to extort them for a large sum of money. That's stalking, that's invasion of privacy, that's extortion. Even though the blackmailer got the facts wrong, the intent was real, the threat was real, and the violation of privacy is very real. OP has every right to feel horrified. Because what if this person had been smarter? What if they dug a little deeper and figured out the truth? What if they pivoted to a different kind of threat? This is why I always say, just because something is funny doesn't mean it isn't also serious. So what should OP do here? First and foremost, do not pay. Never, ever pay a blackmailer. Here's why: it doesn't end. Once they know you'll pay, they'll keep coming back for more. It confirms their leverage. Paying signals that you have something to hide even if you don't. It's funding a criminal. You're literally rewarding illegal behavior. What OP should do? Save all evidence, screenshot the email, save the photos, document everything. Report it to the police. This is extortion. It's a crime. Law enforcement needs to be involved. Consult a lawyer, especially since they run a business. They need legal advice on how to protect themselves and their company. Consider a cease and desist. A lawyer can send a formal letter making it clear that OP knows this is a crime and will pursue charges. Review their security. How did this person get their info? Are there vulnerabilities in their digital presence, their physical security? And honestly, they might want to consider going public with their marriage. I know. They had good reasons for keeping it private. But now that someone is actively surveilling them and attempting extortion, the calculus might have changed. If their relationship is public knowledge, there's nothing left to expose. Let's talk about what kind of person does this. This blackmailer exhibits several key traits. 1. Opportunism. They saw what they thought was a scandalous situation and immediately tried to profit from it. 2. Lack of empathy. They were willing to destroy a marriage and a business partnership for money. They didn't care about the human cost. 3. Overconfidence. They didn't bother to verify their evidence. They assumed they had the whole picture when they actually had none of it. 4. Desperation or greed. People don't usually resort to blackmail unless they're either desperate for money or have a pattern of exploitative behavior. What's fascinating here is the incompetence. This person thought they were being so clever, but they didn't do even basic due diligence. A simple Google search, a LinkedIn check, literally any additional research would have revealed that Mary Fish and Jane Doe are the same person. This tells me one of two things. Option A, this is an amateur, someone who saw an opportunity and jumped on it without thinking it through. Maybe even someone who knows OP casually and thought they'd stumbled onto something big. Option B, this is someone who's done this before and gotten away with it, so they've gotten lazy and overconfident. Either way, they messed with the wrong couple. Here's the thing. As scary as this is, OP and his wife are going to be telling the story for the rest of their lives, at dinner parties, at family gatherings, in their eventual memoir. Remember that time someone tried to blackmail you for cheating on me with me? This is legendary marriage lore. And honestly, the fact that OP's wife is laughing about it shows just how solid their relationship is. They're a team. They're handling this together. They're not spiraling into paranoia or blame. They're united against a common threat. That's actually really beautiful in a twisted sort of way. The story also highlights something really important about modern life. Privacy is increasingly difficult to maintain. OP and his wife did everything right. They kept their relationship off social media. They used different names professionally. They were careful. And someone still managed to surveil them, photograph them, and attempt extortion. This is the world we live in now. Cameras are everywhere. Digital footprints are permanent. People feel entitled to other people's private information. And while this particular blackmail attempt was bumbling and ineffective, it's a reminder that we are all vulnerable. So what can we learn from this? Be aware of your surroundings. Even in private moments like sitting in your car, you might be visible. Secure your digital presence. Use privacy settings. Be mindful of what's publicly accessible. Have a plan. Know what you'd do if you were threatened or extorted. Have a lawyer's number handy. Don't live in fear, but be realistic. Privacy is valuable, and protecting it requires effort. So here's my take. OP should absolutely report this to the authorities, consult with a lawyer, and take steps to protect himself and his wife going forward. But he should also frame that blackmail email, because that is peak comedy and a hell of a story. All right, everyone, that's the story. I genuinely cannot get over this one. It's like a Coen Brothers movie meets a bad episode of CSI. So here's my question for you. If you were OP, what would you do? Would you report it to the police immediately, or would you respond to the blackmailer just to see their face when you explain that Mary and Jane are the same person? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I need to know what you do in this situation. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. This is Alex signing off. Stay safe out there, folks, and maybe double check who you're trying to blackmail before you hit send. Peace.